Hello, and welcome back to English Joy.
Hi, everybody. We are so happy you are here with us today.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Mia.
So, Mia, what are we going to learn today?
English conversation in a business meeting.
Before we start, let me ask you something, Mia. Have you ever been in a meeting where you knew what you wanted to say, but the words just didn't come out?
Yes, all the time, actually. I understand the discussion, but when it's my turn to speak, I hesitate.
You're not alone. That happens to a lot of smart, capable people.
That's good to hear. Sometimes I worry it makes me look unprepared.
It doesn't. It just means you haven't practiced the right kind of English yet.
The kind people actually use in meetings?
Exactly. Simple, clear, and confident.
I'd really like to get better at that.
You will. Let's imagine we're in a real business meeting right now.
All right, I'm ready.
Good morning, Mia. Thanks for making time for this meeting.
Good morning, Alex. Of course. I'm glad we're having this discussion.
Let's get started. The purpose of today's meeting is to review our current project and decide on the next steps.
Sounds good. I've been looking forward to this update.
Great. I'll start with a quick overview, and then I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Sure, go ahead.
Overall, the project is moving in the right direction. We've made solid progress over the past few weeks.
That's good to hear. The team has been working hard.
Yes, they have. We've completed most of the core tasks, and the results are promising.
That's encouraging. Are we still on schedule?
For the most part, yes. We had a few minor delays, but nothing critical.
I see. What caused the delays?
Mainly communication issues between departments, but we've already taken steps to address that.
That makes sense. Clear communication really makes a difference.
It does, and that's actually something I'd like to talk about next.
All right, I'm listening.
From your perspective, what do you think we could improve going forward?
Well, I think we could improve how teams share updates. Sometimes information comes a bit late.
That's a fair point. Can you give me an example?
Sure. For example, when timelines change, not everyone finds out right away.
I understand. That can definitely slow things down.
Exactly. It also creates unnecessary stress.
Thanks for pointing that out. Let's explore some possible solutions together.
I'd like that.
All right, let's think this through. If you were in charge, what would you change first?
I'd start with more regular check-ins, short meetings, but more frequent.
That sounds reasonable. How often are you thinking?
Maybe once a week, just 15 minutes to align everyone.
I like that idea. It's simple and easy to maintain.
Exactly. It wouldn't interrupt anyone's workflow too much.
That's important. People are already busy as it is.
Right. And when communication is clear, people feel more confident.
Confidence makes a big difference in performance.
It really does. People speak up more when they know what's going on.
I agree. And speaking up is something many people struggle with.
Especially in English.
Yes, but the key isn't perfect English. It's being clear and direct.
That takes a lot of pressure off.
It should. In meetings, simple language is often the best language.
I've noticed that native speakers don't use complicated words.
Exactly. They focus on getting the message across.
That makes me feel more comfortable.
Good. That's the goal. So, regarding the weekly check-ins, should we make them mandatory? I'd say yes, at least for the core team.
That makes sense. It keeps everyone accountable.
And it prevents misunderstandings early on.
Which saves time in the long run.
Absolutely. Now let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Do you have any concerns about this approach?
I agree with the idea, but I'm slightly concerned about scheduling.
That's understandable. What's your main concern?
Finding a time that works for everyone might be challenging.
That's a valid point.
Some team members are in different time zones.
Right. In that case, we may need to be flexible.
Maybe we could rotate the meeting time.
That's a good suggestion. It shows consideration for everyone.
I think people would appreciate that.
I do too. It helps build trust within the team.
Trust is really important, especially in remote work.
Exactly. When people trust each other, collaboration improves.
And meetings become more productive.
Well said. Let's move on to the next point.
All right.
Now let's talk about deadlines. Overall, how do you feel about our current timeline?
I think it's achievable, but it might be a bit tight.
I had the same thought. Which part concerns you the most?
The final review stage. It usually takes longer than expected.
That's true. Reviews often bring up unexpected issues.
Exactly. And rushing that stage could affect quality.
Quality is something we can't compromise on.
I completely agree.
So, what would you suggest?
I'd suggest adding a buffer, maybe an extra week for review.
That sounds reasonable. An extra week could make a big difference.
It would also reduce pressure on the team.
Less pressure usually leads to better results.
Yes, people think more clearly when they're not stressed.
All right, let's consider adjusting the deadline.
Great. Should we inform the stakeholders now?
Yes, transparency is important. It's better to communicate early.
That way there are no surprises later.
Exactly. We can explain the reason clearly.
And emphasize that it's to maintain quality.
Right. Most stakeholders understand that.
I feel more confident about this plan now.
Good. That's what effective meetings should do.
Help people feel aligned and confident.
Exactly. Now, there's one more thing I'd like to discuss.
Sure, what is it?
Team feedback. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I think regular feedback sessions would help.
In what way?
They give people a chance to speak openly and feel heard.
That's very true.
It also helps catch small issues before they become big problems.
I like that approach.
It creates a healthier work environment.
Agreed. A healthy environment leads to stronger performance.
Absolutely.
All right, let's build on that. How often do you think feedback sessions should happen?
I'd say once a month, often enough to stay connected, but not so often that it feels overwhelming.
That sounds like a good balance.
Yes, it gives people time to reflect and actually apply the feedback.
I like that idea. Feedback should lead to action, not just discussion.
Exactly. Otherwise, it loses its value.
Would you prefer one-on-one feedback or group sessions?
Ideally, both. Group sessions for general topics and one-on-one for personal growth.
That's a thoughtful approach.
People are usually more honest in one-on-one conversations.
True. It creates a safer space.
And when people feel safe, they're more willing to speak up.
Which brings us back to confidence again.
Yes, confidence is really the foundation.
Especially when working in a second language.
Definitely. Even simple sentences can feel stressful.
That's why clarity matters more than complexity.
I'm starting to see that now.
Good. That mindset will help you in every meeting.
I already feel less pressure just thinking this way.
That's progress.
So, for the feedback sessions, should managers lead them?
Yes, but I think team members should also be encouraged to share.
Peer feedback?
Exactly. When done respectfully, it's very effective.
I agree. It helps people learn from each other,
And it strengthens teamwork.
which ultimately improves results.
Right. Now, before we wrap up, is there anything else on your mind?
Just one thing.
Go ahead.
How do we make sure meetings stay focused?
That's a great question.
Meetings sometimes drift off topic.
They do, and that can be frustrating.
Very frustrating.
The key is having a clear agenda.
And sticking to it.
Exactly. Setting expectations at the start helps a lot.
That makes sense.
We should also assign action items before the meeting ends.
So everyone knows what to do next.
Yes, clarity saves time.
I like that approach.
Good. Let's move toward closing this meeting.
All right.
Before we close, let's quickly summarize what we've agreed on.
Sure, that would be helpful.
First, we'll introduce short weekly check-ins to improve communication across teams.
Right, 15 minutes once a week.
Second, we'll adjust the project timeline by adding an extra week for the final review.
To reduce pressure and protect quality.
Exactly. Third, we'll start monthly feedback sessions.
With both group discussions and one-on-one conversations.
Correct. And finally, we'll make sure every meeting has a clear agenda and action items.
That should help meetings stay focused.
That's the idea.
I feel really clear about the next steps now.
Good. That's how a productive meeting should end.
I agree. This conversation was very efficient.
I'm glad to hear that.
Honestly, I felt more comfortable speaking up today.
That's great. What helped?
The language felt simple. I didn't feel like I had to sound perfect.
That's exactly the point. Clear English beats perfect English every time.
I'll remember that.
You should. It will serve you well in future meetings.
I already feel more confident about participating in discussions.
Confidence grows with practice.
Yes, and conversations like this really help.
They do. The more you speak, the easier it becomes.
I can see that now.
All right. If there's nothing else, let's wrap this up.
Sounds good.
I'll send a follow-up email with the summary and action items.
Perfect. That will keep everyone aligned.
Thanks again for your input today, Mia.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate the discussion.
Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Actually, before we completely sign off, there's one more thing I'd like to check with you.
Of course. What's on your mind?
How are you personally feeling about speaking up in meetings lately?
Honestly, I'm improving, but I still hesitate sometimes.
That's very normal.
I worry about choosing the wrong words or sounding unclear.
I get that, but clarity doesn't come from fancy words.
It comes from simple structure, right?
Exactly. Short sentences, one idea at a time.
That already feels more manageable.
Good. For example, instead of explaining everything at once, you can start with your main point.
Like saying, I have one concern and then explaining it?